What's going on Twitch and YouTube? Welcome to episode 20 of the U.S.S. CERRITOS tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we have about a 32-minute episode. We're going to try to get some stuff done. We'll be closing in our upper hull, almost all of it on the saucer section, and getting a couple of loose ends. Well, not loose ends, but a couple more details done on the corridors. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. See, as I went over in last week's episode, filling in all this area all the way up to the half slab on the highest point on the blocks right here going off the lip. And you should have completely flat surface going right up until you get to that half slab there. And then in a few moments, we'll be filling in the rest. Add in a couple of details here. Every single cross point for my corridors but the majority of this episode is going to be about closing in the hull. Got a little scatterbrained when I was doing this part of it, because there's still one or two things that I was working on the corridors, and we're still not even going to be done yet because we haven't finished the ceiling on our circle corridors. So we have to cross that bridge, but we will once we get into the interior. I was actually supposed to be getting on this weekend to really start working on my interior on the CERRITOS, and I had a brief snag, and I've talked about this before. But basically, what happened was I got on Saturday night to start building it, and I was going through my interior of my ship. I was looking at the blueprint of the CERRITOS, and I'm trying to make a decision on where I'm going to put the warp drive. Now, if you can find a side blueprint of the CERRITOS on Google, pull that up, excuse me, pull that up, and then pull up a picture of the engineering bay. Now, when I do the interior, I have both pictures, so I'll pull it up and show you, but I'm just bringing this up ahead of time so you can do a search for it if you'd like to. But basically, I can't, like I said, I can't determine if the engineering should go in the saucer directly underneath the bridge, or if it should go in the lower hull behind the deflector. Um, Based on what I'm seeing in the blueprint, it honestly looks like engineering is located in the saucer section. It really does. Um, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily jive with some of the other Federation ships that I've done in the past. So that's why I'm kind of like conflicted on it. But I think I'm ultimately, at this point, the more I've been thinking about it, I think I'm just ultimately going to make the decision to probably do that. Um, I'll have honestly more space at that point to do what I want with engineering and do something a little bit closer to how it looks in the show. Um, but if I'm wrong on that, if it is in the lower hull, let me know in the comments section because I was not able to confirm that. But I'm put it this way, I'm like 96% certain that it's on the saucer section. So anyway, after I've gotten to this point, I've been trying to plan out what I'm going to do with a couple of the rooms. Some of the rooms I'm going to be starting with, you know, the shuttle bays and then cargo area, because I'm actually going to work those in together. I'm trying to plan a couple of things ahead of time. Because as I go through my builds, you know, I try to learn from them as I go, and do things a little bit better each time. And one of the things I found is that the more prepping you do on a build, the better it's ultimately going to be. Um, you can see here, I'm starting to fill in the ceiling here. I just did the. Let's go back a little bit and check that out. So we did the sea lanterns going along the left side, along with a cut, and then on the gap, we just did another white concrete block and filled it in until it was flat. Um, I don't know how I feel about this because, like I said, we're not done with the roof, but that doesn't look horrible. But I don't know. It just the roof right here is plain. I might come back maybe, and maybe use like a darker gray, like going along the sides here. I think that could maybe work. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments section, if I can get away with having a flat surface, or maybe if I need to kind of oval it out a little bit and give it a little bit of shape up top. I don't really know, but I haven't fully decided yet. But definitely going to be coming back into the corridors. But I just wanted to get something down. Um, but to have your corridors matching with mine, I'm not going to do all of this live because this is so repetitive and it's easy. After I've done this little section here, I'm just going to move on to another section of the ship, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of the circle corridors in the same process off camera. So you want to make sure that you complete this same step for both your inner ring circular corridor and your outer ring circular corridor. Then after you do that, you can go ahead and pick back up with me on today's episode, and we'll continue on in the tutorial. So we're going to hop back over here in just a second into the next part of our stream, and I haven't yet filled in this area over here for the upper hull, but I'm going to in a few minutes. And I'm going to give you a heads up of how I'm going to do this because I do it off camera, but it is so simple. You will not need me to do this live with you. So if you go along this lip, this ring right here, this is a full block. Directly in front of that, you've got a half concrete slab. So this full block, this is your base. This is the block line you're going to be building off of. You're just going to fill all this in. You're going to go up to your yellow ring here and then go all the way around. Now on the yellow ring on the sides here, you're not going to do anything else, but on the inner ring, you can go ahead and fill that in. Once you get past that gray line you're building on the white, you don't have to fill in any of that. And also don't fill in anything past this yellow line back here, because all this, we're going to be transitioning this up and adding in layers to it. So you're essentially, if you do that, if you just fill in your entire saucer one level, you're going to be creating additional work for yourself. If you decide to go in and have different levels or manage to have windows or whatever I end up doing with this area in here. So definitely keep that in mind. So anyway, we're going to move right along here and start prepping out the rest of our saucer to close this thing in, get to a point where we can start working on the interior. And you can see I've already gone ahead at this point in the video and completed my ceilings for my circular corridors. Went all the way around. Of course, on the inner one, I didn't go past that yellow line. The same thing for the back one, actually. And I'm on the left side of the engine, or excuse me, the left side of the ship. You can see I'm just filling in the gap that's between the yellow line and the gray line. But you can see that I'm not building else, or excuse me, building inward past this gray line. You want to make sure that that's out in the open. Anything past that, going out towards the outer ring, that's essentially fair game to fill in. But this inner V and the inner circle that's dark gray, you're not going to want to fill that in. It's like I've been was saying in the last couple of episodes, filling in the hull for this thing has been a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle in some regard. Not so much on the lower hull, but so much on the upper hull, and we're about to get into that. Not in today's episode, but we're getting to a point where we're starting to catch up to my recordings. That's why I'm having to get on um, Twitch and do my live recordings on Minecraft so I can get some new content out to keep this thing going. But we're really getting to a point where we're rocking and rolling here. But I did have a little bit of the problem closing in this upper hull, and specifically where the V is. Not so much where the circle is. I didn't have much problem there, but in the back area here where the V is, that goes like back into the shuttle bay, that whole transition point was a pain in the butt to get it where it needs to be. So I'm just completing my circle ring there. All right, so this little gap within here, now we're going to fill this in. But again, this is between the gray and yellow. We're not going into inner gray circle. I want to make sure leave that open. That was specifically why I'm doing this live, even though I could have just told you not to and skipped ahead. I wanted to show you exactly the areas that you're wanting to leave opened. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this live, even though it's fairly simple to do. Because this was not an easy ship to build. It wasn't super hard, but parts of it were a pain in the butt. We're not doing too bad. Been having a couple of people comment in the comment section on ships that people would like to see me build. I had one or two people ask me for the Defiant, um, and I've had a couple of people lately asking me for Riker's Enterprise. But if there's any other ships you want to see me build from next generation era, let me know in the comments section, because that's really the era ships that I'm building in right now. I'm not going to be doing that forever, but just for right now, because I've done so many ships from Kirk's era that I want to move into different eras of Starfleet, and doing this, a lot of the reasons to keep it fresh for myself and not get bored with the builds that I'm doing. But with that being said, eventually I will go back to Kirk's era and do more ships from that era. So if you drop a comment and make a suggestion for a ship from that era, don't get discouraged if I don't do it right now, but I may end up panning back to it if I get people asking me for it and I can get passionate about the build. But yeah, definitely know in the comments section. I haven't really had too many people ask questions regarding the build. I think the way I've been doing the tutorial series for the CERRITOS has gone a lot better than the Discovery Enterprise. Not that I did a bad job on it, but I've tried to explain things a little bit better and build this a little bit slower and in a way that it's not confusing. Because I do read the comments section every time that I do a video. I definitely thank everybody that takes the time to watch my videos and comment. But for whatever reason, if you see me do something that either you don't like or you feel that I could do better, let me know in the comments section, because that's how my videos get better. And definitely appreciate everybody that takes the time to let me know that information, because that's a lot of the reasons why I think my channel has grown, because I've been blessed with a great community of people that care enough to let me know what they think of my builds, regardless whether it's good, bad, or whatever. And I think that's awesome. Um, I've actually had somebody say the other day, they thanked me for doing my Minecraft videos, because there's not that many people that are just doing anything with Star Trek in general, let alone on Minecraft. And that's so true. And I've said this many times before, but I think everybody could use a little bit of Star Trek in their life right now. With everything going on in the world, I think having that hopeful, positive, optimistic beacon is a good thing. Maybe not so much with Discovery, and I'm not trying to hate on that show. I love Discovery. It's a good show, but still, the way that they portrayed the future, even in before they went into like super future in Pike's era, it was somewhat of a dystopian idea, and then when you got into the super far future, 900 years in the future, is like straight up dystopian future. And that's not necessarily what Gene Roddenberry had in mind when he made Star Trek, I don't think. But I think that they're not going to keep it that way, and they're just doing that, to serve the plot, and hopefully they end up in a lighter place. It seems like they're getting there, because I really do feel like Discovery season 3 was possibly the most hopeful one that they've done. It's definitely the most lighthearted one. I've even said in the past I felt Michael Burnham, that character was just so dark, in my opinion, as far as her personality. She was just seemed like a very sad person, and it depressed me watching her sometimes. But in season 3, she seems happy, and I've actually been excited to watch the show. And if you haven't seen the finale of season 3 of Discovery, I think this past week's was the finale. But spoiler ahead. Make sure to mute and don't listen to what I'm about to talk about. But I was actually, I really enjoyed that they gave Burnham the captain's chair. I feel like um, in some ways, she's been training to be a captain. I don't necessarily agree that season 3 was the season to do it, because the way that she went after Booker, to me, that just kind of reaffirmed that she was still willing to sacrifice the needs of the few for the needs of the many, and that's not necessarily what a captain does. Um, But you can make that same argument about Kirk that he was willing to sacrifice everything for Spock, but millions of lives weren't on the line at the same time. But I like that she ended up in the captain's chair. If they were going to do it and take Saru out, I actually would have preferred to keep Saru in if it were up to me. Because I think Doug Jones, he does a good job on that show. I hope that they figure out a way to keep him around. I think they actually wrote him out. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what they do in the future. It seems like they've got some plot points that they could go into that are pretty cool. But really, what I'm waiting for is for them to release some type of model of the Discovery A, because that is actually the one other ship that I get the most requests for right now. And I feel bad because I can't really build that ship at the moment. And I'll have people ask me, and I have to be honest with them and tell them that right now I don't want to build the ship because they just don't have enough screenshots out of the ship to where I feel I could make an accurate one. You know, um, they did a good job showcasing it the rest of the season, but still, like I would feel more comfortable at this point if I could either get my hands on a 3D model or a physical model of the thing. Doesn't even have to be big; it could be a little model, as long as I could see some 3D dimensions on the thing. Then then I feel more confident building it out. And as soon as that happens, you can bet that I'm going to be doing a build on it in the near future. But I hope that it's soon because I like the refit. I like what they did with the changes on the Discovery. I think it looks cool, and I'm looking forward to building it. But I'm also looking forward to building in other ships, and you never know what the tide will bring in and what I'll be feeling in as far as what I want to build and what other people want me to build. So I'm just gonna play it by ear. I know that next up after the Cerritos, I'm gonna be building the Enterprise D. I'm still very much looking forward to that build. Um, I'm even kind of afraid of it in some ways, even though I did the mock tutorial. It's gonna be my biggest build yet. I'm gonna try to make it my biggest build yet because I'm gonna try to scale it off of my Discovery A and try to get the scaling right if I compared the Galaxy class to a Constitution class where it would end up at. But I'm still very excited to do it. I'm looking forward to the challenge, and one of the things I enjoy about Minecraft, I enjoy the challenge in the blocks and not being able to just build something out, super cool shapes. There's other games that I play like Starship Evo where I can do that, and I mean it's awesome. But there's something about Minecraft too that it's just what can I say? It reminds me of Legos. Anyway, getting back into a little bit what I got going on here, you can see that now at this point in the video, I've transitioned into the next point where I've closed in the remainder of my hull, with the exception of our circle here and within the V. So you can see it's the same height as our lip right here. You can see I did not delete my hull lines. Those are still very much intact. We're eventually going to go in and take them out because the Cerritos does not have straight hull lines like this. I found some pictures online of the Cerritos. I actually found somebody that did a realistic rendering of the Cerritos, and I got a screenshot of it. And I'm going to try to replicate the hull and see if I can do that on here, because even in the screenshots and like what I showed you in episode 1 when I showed you the teaser of the hull, um, I was still never fully satisfied on, because like the Cerritos has kind of like a unique hull pattern to it, and I want to see if I can figure out a way to bring that over into Minecraft. It's basically what I'm getting at. So I want to continue on with this episode without holding us up too much, because we've only got about 13 minutes in. We've got about another 18 minutes to go in today's episode. We still have some stuff to do. All right. So before I hop into this, because I know in this part of the video I just kind of go really fast, but pump on the brakes a little bit, show you a little bit about what we're about to get ourselves into. This whole nightmare right here, like this line right here. Whoever like designed this on the Cerritos, I wish I could meet him and have a conversation with him and let them know just how difficult it was to build this in Minecraft. Looks really cool. I got to tell you, this bar right here, it seems like something so simple to make, but when I try to build this piece here and transition into these curves, I had a little bit of trouble getting that to work. But we will get into that eventually. You can tell how excited I sound by it. Even though I'm not going to have to build it again, I'll have to witness it, which will probably be almost as painful. No, but it won't be so bad. But it was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but we'll get there. So you can see I'm doing a lip going along our first inner ring. This is actually along the right side shuttle bay. That's just along the ring there. I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. I'm trying to essentially prep out making this 3D, and I'm trying to envision how this is going to go. So I'm trying to anticipate where I need to add half slabs, because behind those half slabs are going to be full blocks, and that's how I'm going to transition up from row to row, like you see on this. Almost looks like a three-step staircase on the back of the Discovery. I hate to compare it to that, but that's exactly what this piece right here looks like. So that now you can see what these rings right on the back of here for were basically templates for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there might have been an easier process in getting this done, but this was the first time I ever built this type of ship, and you live and learn every time you do something. Now you can see I'm going back on my inner ring just within this area where the shuttle bay is going to go, for the left and right side, replacing the white block with a gray one, because the roof, or I should say the hull, is going to be filled in with gray blocks. So we're only using the white concrete when we have to. Other than that, we're going to be using the gray to try to stay true to the color palette that we have. But ultimately, no matter what, to try to get the curvature of the CERRITOS like in the picture, we need the half slabs. There's just no way around it. So that's going to be one of the few cosmetic variations between the actual CERRITOS and Minecraft. But this again goes right back into what I'll stress about, that sometimes when you're building something, it doesn't always translate well over into Minecraft, and you have to make sacrifices in order to try to make it look something like it. And this is just ultimately one of those times. I could have not done the half slabs, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think it would have looked as good having a full block cut. It would have looked way too boxy. It would have looked way too pixelated. And I know it's Minecraft, and that we're dealing with pixels, but that's kind of one of the things when I'm building a ship. I try my best to not build it in a pixelated way, if that makes sense. Because that is one of my pet peeves that I have on ships when I'm even looking at a ship for a reference, or just looking at other people's builds just to check out what other people are doing. I can't stand when I see pixelated builds. I'm not a fan of it. You can definitely see by my ship here, everything has a pattern to it, and it just I think it looks better. Got to be honest. All right, so now we got one panel done on the left side shuttle bay. We've just got a whole lot more to do, so let's do the right side panel. You can see I'm just going along the same height as the cut of the gray block to keep things simple. Now going along our inner ring here, we're going to get rid of this bottom half slab, because that's actually going to be below, or just below, our hull line. So I think for that reason, we can just go ahead and get rid of those blocks. It's not really a big deal. Sometimes you'll add stuff in and then realize that it's too deep into your build. And what I mean by that is, like, your block line is literally lower than where you intended it to be. And that's kind of what happened there. We don't necessarily need it, so we just removed it, and we'll just move on like it never existed. All right, so now we're going to cut out our shuttle bay doors. You can see I'm staying within the two gray cuts, and I'm only going out too high. but everything in between that we're cutting out. And when I go into the interior, I will pull up the screenshots to show it, but this is where the shuttle bays are on the Cerritos. I know that this 3D model doesn't have it, but I'm almost pretty certain that they made this 3D model before the show came out, because in the show, I'm pretty sure they show up because I remember watching it on an episode of Trek Yards. And if you're into watching reviews on ships, I would highly recommend checking out Trek Yards. They're a great source of just a lot of um, neat information related to the starships that they're reviewing. So it's kind of cool. They're definitely not my main source that I use for information when I'm researching ships, but um, I've watched enough of their videos to know that anytime I'm doing a new build, I always check out their channel just to see if they have done a review of that ship. So maybe they might talk about something that I'm not aware of. Because 9 times out of 10, they usually do. So anyway, we're moving along here. These 3 circle cuts, these rings right here, you can see I'm going to be transitioning them up because right now they are below the hull line. And we're actually going to be transitioning them higher as we get close to the center. So we're on the back one right now, and you can see that I'm adding in one, I think it was 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. So we're adding in additional 3 rows. Slightly backtracking just a little bit, but um, that's okay. Sometimes you got to backtrack just a little bit to make a correction, because again, you're just going to be dealing with this when you're doing custom ships. You're never going to um, foresee everything. You're never going to have a solution for everything right away, and you're never going to do everything perfect. You know, it's you're always going to run into a couple of times where you could have done something a little bit better, or maybe you misjudged the height of it, which is this case right here. I misjudged the height of these things, and now I just need to slightly adjust them. But then again, I should actually correct myself. I wasn't even necessarily misjudged myself. I had made them the same height as the outline of her saucer, and that was always just intended actually to be a template um, that we would come back to. But we're not looking too bad. Some of this may still feel like a little bit of a puzzle, but stay with me if you've stuck it out with me this far on episode 20. And just want to thank you again for that, by the way, and your commitment to watching this tutorial series with me. But stick with me through the rest of it, because there's still plenty to come on the outside of the ship and the inside, which is going to be a lot of fun. But I'm pretty happy with how this thing came out. And so far, based on the responses I've gotten from the people that I've actually shown the completed ship to, and the ones that have seen episode 1 and saw the teaser of it when I went around it, I've gotten nothing but positive feedback. I haven't had anybody have anything negative to say about it. Um, I think that might have a little bit to do with the fact I'm the only person on YouTube right now that has a Cerritos, so it's kind of hard to compare me to anybody. But I'm sure somebody will do it at some point, because I think Lower Decks was a sleeper show, and I think as they go through the seasons, it'll get more people involved. So now I'm going up to the next ring, and I'm going one higher up. So on this row, we're actually adding a 4th row. So now you can, as I back out here, you can start to envision a little bit more of how this actually is. So this ring right here is this piece right here. So we added 3 high to this row, which is this one, and did the same thing for this one, and then we added an extra row to this one, which is actually this row right here. So now it, kind of start to come together a little bit more. our ship is definitely starting to take a little bit more shape as far as on top of the saucer section. But this was definitely a learning experience doing this ship, and definitely made me appreciate planning out my ships just a little bit more. And because of the fact that even though I had some problems on the upper side of the saucer as I was closing in the hull, um, I was still able to prep out enough of the ship beforehand that it wasn't too bad. So, that's definitely, again, great reason why you would want to prep out your build as much as possible. If you're not sure about what you want to do, stop and step away from it for a minute. That was the exact reason why I didn't get on Minecraft this weekend and build, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do exactly yet, because I wasn't sure where the warp core was going to go. I didn't want to start building something if I was going to make drastic changes to it. And yeah, I could have started working on other things, but that was where my main train of thought was related to this build right now, because if it ends up being the case that engineering has to go in the saucer, that's going to be one of the main focal points on the ship, because they'll be in the dead center of it. And if it doesn't, that's completely going to change the layout of it. So in a main sense, that's a pivotal point in the build. So I'm hoping that I'll have that finalized in the next day or so, because I really do need to hop on here and get this going. But definitely check me out on my Twitch streams if you're on YouTube. What are you doing? Come over and check me out on Twitch. I definitely appreciate it. All the people that have been asking me if I stream, I'm doing this for you, everybody, because I've had a ton of people ask me over the course that I've been putting my videos up on YouTube. I've always run across either one or two people that ask me, why am I not doing live streams? Well, I'm doing them now, and you can always come on over to twitch.tv/Zero Elite. You can always catch my live streams Sundays through Thursdays, typically between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern. And I also do streams in between that are unofficial streams. I'll be playing other games, and sometimes they'll be hopping on Minecraft also, or Starship Evo, my building games. You never know, I might even be getting on Planet Coaster at some point. Um, I've actually contemplated doing some more live streams or builds just in general and videos for Planet Coaster. But my main reason for not doing it at this point is because Planet Coaster is getting kind of old. It's been out a few years. And there's a lot of YouTubers that do it, and I don't know if it would be very successful or not. I think I want to stick with the niche that I currently have between Starship Evo and Minecraft. But if there are other games you'd like to see me build, let me know in the comments section. I would definitely love to hear from you. If it's just to drop by and say hello, or to give me constructive criticism, you never know. Definitely still would love to hear from you. And man, our ship is starting to come together. I can really start to envision how this thing is going to start to look. And this is just exciting, because we've spent all this time, 20 episodes now, prepping out and building this thing little by little, and we've literally pretty much just willed this thing into existence just by following a few couple simple steps. And hopefully by watching this tutorial series, you've learned a thing or two on building a ship, and this will give you some ideas on how you can do your own ships too, and not even just my tutorials also. Because that's the thing too, everything that I'm doing in this build, you can apply this to other ship builds, and not, of course, the specific layout, but at least the idea behind what I'm doing and the process in which what I do and the rules that I have. And I could probably write a book on all of them, but all of them off the top of my head, I mean, how much time do you have? So what I typically like to do, regarding that is, as I'm doing the tutorial, when it's relevant, I bring this stuff up. So definitely, hang out with me through this series, and I'll show you how to do some pretty cool stuff. And I don't just do starships. I do build other stuff too, but starships seems to be my #1 request, which is why I do so many ship builds. But Doesn't necessarily have to be just Star Trek. It could be anything nerd related. See, I'm trying to prep out this line here. We're on this back row right here. You can see the Cerritos, like it's not a super sexy looking ship with like, great sleek lines, like, almost feels like an older, ship. Feels kind of retro in some ways, like the thickness and like the hull going around here. But I mean, it works. It looks like a great ship. I was actually watching a video on the making of this ship, and they actually, the way that they designed it, they've said this in the past, that they intentionally built the Cerritos to be a beloved ship, and I think I can agree with that because this ship has definitely grown on me. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, man, that's the stupidest design I've ever seen. But as time has gone on and I've watched Lower Decks, my opinion on it has completely changed. And probably will get sick of it, but I will. Can't stress enough. If you're a fan of Star Trek or science fiction in general and you like comedy, check that show out. Not enough people watch it or have given it a fair shake because um, that show, believe it or not, is one of the reasons why I give both Star Trek Picard and Discovery such a hard time because Star Trek Lower Decks is, even though it's in a comedy setting, in my opinion, it maintains and respects Gene Roddenberry's vision of a hopeful and optimistic future. And again, that's something we really need right now. But anyway, we're rocking and rolling here on this build. This whole thing is nothing but positive. And I made a slight boo-boo there. I'm going to have to go back. You can see I'm literally just going along the lip here. 2 blocks back from this row right here, if you're wondering. And I'm not sure that this line is even going to stay here, but I'm essentially just trying to wireframe out an area, this piece right here, and see if that will work. But there's going to be 1 or 2 times where I'm going to put some stuff down here and we're to take it away. But eventually here, we'll end up where we need to be. But now we're quickly approaching the most hard part of this build so far, which is this area of the ship, this area specifically. And we're not going to have enough time to run into it tonight because that would have expanded today's episode out by another 40 minutes. I think that was the length of the next episode. But we've got a lot of stuff to do. And what else can I say? I think that's going to wrap us up. We've gotten a lot done. Mostly prep work today, but we've also closed in the hall. We've gotten some stuff done. And we're going to tackle this piece tomorrow and try to close in some more of this and get that going. And we're just going to do it one piece at a time until this thing is done. But yeah, I think that's about going to do it. I hope everybody enjoyed today's content. And if you did, please help me out and hit that like and subscribe button. I can't thank you enough for that. And just by doing that, that really helps me in supporting the channel. If you're on Twitch, you can always check out my Twitch streams on twitch.tv/Zero Elite. And you catch those streams Sundays through Thursdays, typically between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget also to follow me on YouTube at youtube.com/C/Zero Elite. We could always catch my new my new Twitch streams where I do Starship Evo on Mondays and then Minecraft Tuesdays through Fridays. Those videos drop those videos drop at 10 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, I had my cat walking right across me. He always feels that he's the center of my life. But anyway, I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. I will catch you on tomorrow's episode.